Yeah. When I started preparing for this program, the first thing I did was I sat down and I thought, okay, I'm going to think like some of the guys in my men's class, or I'm going to think like some students at college. And I read it straight through in one sitting, and I put a circle around everything that I thought that lay people that would study this would ask us. And that's what we've been talking about. Now, it's supposed to be preached in all of the churches. There's another little thing that there's a warning. The warning is found in Revelation 22:18 and 19, and it warns readers not to add or take away from God's words. It says, if anyone adds these things, God will add to him the plagues that are written in this book. In other words, I wonder how many preachers, when they do comment on Revelation, change the message or leave out some things like hell or things that we've been talking about. They say, hey, God's not that rough. He wouldn't be these tribulation judgments that we've been talking about. You know, this Antichrist, they spiritualize it. They do something with it. They change it. Yeah, God warns them, don't do it.
That. Yeah, I think it's don't make it say more than it says. Don't get wild with crazy speculation, but also don't make it say less than it says. Don't water it down, because then you haven't communicated the real message.
I think there's also the issue of false prophets, such as in the kingdom of the cults. Now, without mentioning specific cults, I can tell you that there are cults who have retranslated the book of Revelation to support their own teachings. And I can also tell you that there are cults who have inserted things into the book of Revelation and deleted other things from the book of Revelation. Now, based upon this warning, John, I hesitate to think about what those people are going through now who've already died and passed on.
Well, and it's just tragic how many people today don't talk about this. And, you know, I think really there's a lot of satanic influence in that in many ways, because it's often been said, you know, if you were Satan, would you want people to read a book, you know, that tells about your ultimate doom? So I do think there's satanic influence in that. But to me, I guess the great tragedy I see as a pastor of a church and seeing people out there in churches where they never hear the truth of the book of Revelation is, in these times in which we live now, we can see these things that the book of Revelation speaks of closer on the horizon than any time in church history, yet it's being talked about less. We need hope now in these days in which we live, probably more than any other time in history, and this is the book that gives us that ultimate hope. So to me, it's a great tragedy as well, just that this book is not preached faithfully in our churches today.